So, if you are taking English literature subject as your optional in UPSC examination, I would like to share the whole syllabus of English literature with you. UPSC offers English as one of the optional exams. It is important to know about the syllabus before appearing for the exam. It helps to build a better examining strategy. Here is the English literature syllabus of UPSC. So English literature has two papers. First of all, let me tell you, there are two papers for every optional examination in UPSC. So if you are taking English literature as your optional, there are two papers. Both of the papers consist two sections. The first section, the time period was 600 to 1900, in which various periods like the Renaissance, Elizabethan, Jacobean drama, metaphysical poetry, the epic and the mock epic, neoclassicism, satire, the romantic movement, the rise of the novel, the Victorian age. This is the period where this all writings are wrote. So let us talk about the paper 1, which has, as you can see, our first writer was William Shakespeare. We will talk about William Shakespeare's life and his writings. He wrote two writings which we have to study in this syllabus. The first writing of William Shakespeare was King Lear, and the second was The Tempest. Now we will talk about John Donne, who has wrote 5 poems which are in our syllabus. First one is Canonization, then Death, Be Not Proud, The Good Morrow, On His Mistress Going to Bed, and The Relic. Okay. Third writer was John Milton, who wrote Paradise Lost. We have to study 1st, 2nd, 4th and 9th of his Paradise Lost chapters. The fourth one is Alexander Pope, who wrote The Rape of the Lock. As you can see, the fifth writer, or you can say poet, was William Wordsworth. The following poems of William Wordsworth are written below. The first one is Ode on Intimations of Immorality, Tintern Abbey, 3 years she grew, She dwelt among untrodden ways, Michael, Resolution and Independence, The world is too much with us, Milton, thou shouldest be living at this hour upon Westminster Bridge. The sixth one is Alfred Tennyson, as you can see, who wrote In Memoriam. Let me tell you, in every section there are only 7 writers, or you can say 7 chapters are there. So then the last one is Henrik Ibsen, who wrote A Doll's House. Let's talk about paper 1, section B. The poets are given below. The first one is Jonathan Swift, who wrote Gulliver's Travels. Second is Jane Austen, who wrote Pride and Prejudice. The third one is Henry Fielding, who wrote Tom Jones. The fourth one is Charles Dickens, who wrote Hard Times. As you can see, the fifth one, George Eliot, who wrote The Mill on the Floss. Sixth one is Thomas Hardy, Tess of the Urbelvies. Let's talk about the seventh one, whose name was Mark Twain, who wrote The Adventure of Huckleberry Finn. Let's talk about paper 2. At that time, the time period was 1900 to 1990, in which various periods are there. So let's talk about the various periods name. That was Modernism, Poet of the 30s, The Stream of Consciousness novel, Absurd drama, Colonialism and Post-colonialism, Indian writings in English, Marxist, Psychoanalytical and feminist approaches to literature, Postmodernism. Let's talk about section A. So as you can see on your screen, section A consists of 7 writers or poets, you can say. The first one is William Butler Yeats, who wrote the following poems. Easter 1916. Then second one is The Second Coming, A Prayer for My Daughter, Sailing to Byzantium, The Tower, Among School Children, Leda and the Swan, Meru, Lapis Lazuli. The second poet, named as T.S. Eliot, who wrote the love song of J. Alfred Prufrock. Second one is Journey of the Mac. The third one is Burnt Norton. The third chapter, whose poet was W.H. Auden, who wrote the flowing poems named as Partition, Musi des Buick's Arts, in memory of W.B. Yeats, Lay Your Sleeping Head, My Love, The Unknown Citizen, and the last one is Consider. I'm sorry for the inconvenience. There are 4 more poems of that writer, which are Mundus et Infans, The Shield of Achilles, September 1, 1939, Petition, and the fourth poet, whose name was John Osborne, who wrote Look Back in Anger. The fifth one is Samuel Beckett, who wrote Waiting for Godot. The sixth one is Philip Larkin, who wrote the flowing named as Next, Please, Deceptions, Afternoons, Days, Mr. Blenny. The seventh was an Indian writer whose name was A.K. Ramanujan, who wrote Looking for a Cosm on the Swing, a River of Mothers, among other things, Love Poem for a Wife 1, Sam Scale, Reflection on a Great House, Obituary. Okay.